Today I want to talk about equipment warranties, companies who do or do not stand behind their warranties, how to choose a good dealership when buying equipment, and our responsibility when leaving an online review or bashing a company for poor service. Now, I think I'm uniquely qualified to talk about this because I've had some really large failures on equipment from different brands that were covered under warranty. And running this YouTube channel, I get a lot of emails from people who are having problems with their machines and telling me their stories. Sometimes people are wanting advice, and sometimes people are wanting their story told on my YouTube channel. Now, I've actually taken that on a couple times, and I'm going to relay some of those stories. But today's video is triggered by a friend of mine who has the same tractor that I do, and he has a YouTube channel. And he just posted a video telling his story and his frustration with TYM. So everyone knows that I've got the same tractor, and a lot of you know that I'm friends with the other guy. So I'm getting a lot of emails about it, Facebook messages, YouTube comments, asking for my thoughts on this situation. A quick rundown of the story. This guy had 500 hours on his tractor, and the tractor still ran, but it didn't sound right, and on certain RPMs or certain loads, it would have a power loss. And he took it to the dealership, and it's not the dealership where he bought it, because he bought it and then he moved. And he's now got a different dealership to deal with on this. He took it to the dealership, they got it approved for a full engine replacement under warranty. And he was really happy about that. Problem is, that was 6 months ago. At this point, they've taken his tractor apart, but they haven't fixed it. And he's not getting any communication from the dealership or TYM about a timeline for getting his tractor back. Now, if you buy a new piece of equipment like a tractor or a truck or an excavator or anything in this category, these are very expensive purchases. Usually, maybe the most expensive thing you've ever bought besides your house. And if you spend all that money and it breaks, and now you don't have it for a long time, that's very frustrating. I would be upset. And there's no getting around it. This is a bad look for TYM. If you go to that video, there is comment after comment after comment saying, I was thinking about buying a TYM and now I won't. This is costing them sales. So people are wanting to see my reaction to it. Well, I don't work for TYM, and I have a responsibility to the viewers. So the bottom line is, somewhere along the way, with the dealership or the company, there's been a major breakdown in service and communication, and there's really no excuse that 6 months have passed and my friend doesn't have his tractor back. Now, we're going to come back to this more in a minute, but right now I want to show you a few things. When I came outside to make this video, I'd been thinking about it for a few days, saying, do I want to talk about this? It's none of my business, really, but people are asking. People know that I have that tractor. People know that I have come out and said, I love TYM tractors. They're the best. What's Brock got to say about this? So today I'm saying it. So as I came out to make this video, I opened up my phone, went to the YouTube Studio app, opened the comments, and you can search for a word. I searched for the word warranty. And these are comments that came up when I searched for warranty. I bought a new Bobcat S76 Platinum in May with 7 hours on it. First day, it had to go back to the shop. Since then, it's been in the shop 6 more times, and I've only been able to get 23 hours on the machine. So that Bobcat S76, that's a $75,000, $80,000 machine. Said, I can't wait to sell this and get literally anything else. Okay, now what am I saying here? What I'm saying is that review that guy just left is troubling. It makes Bobcat kind of look bad, but it wouldn't on its own stop me from buying a Bobcat because there are thousands and thousands of Bobcats sold every year. What percentage of people are having a negative experience like this? So when you see it and someone tells you they had that bad experience, you don't ignore it. You're like, okay, this is a problem, but is it an isolated problem or is this a pattern? And that's what, as a consumer, I'm trying to find out. Here's another comment on that same video. Do not purchase from Bobcat, they are junk. My CT 2035 has been in and out of the shop for years. I purchased new, and Bobcat Company has done nothing to get me something else while I'm stuck with this tractor that I'm paying for and I cannot use. Do not purchase this junk. The next one I want to read to you is a Facebook post. And this person actually emailed me a lot of correspondence between him and John Deere. It says, my John Deere 335P has been at the dealer for 220 straight days. I don't know what's going on with Deere or Ag Pro, but this is unacceptable. The more people we get together, we can lean on them. I've had to hire an attorney to even get a reply from John Deere. Now, this person exchanged messages with me and emailed me a bunch of documents and correspondence, and I almost made a video about this almost a year ago, because this guy's got a $120,000 machine that he bought to run a business with. Now, his business is not a 20-person business. It's a small business. He had one machine, and he was basically shut down. And he bought a $120,000 machine, and he's renting machines to run his business with while still making that payment. Now, in that specific case, I was sent a lot of emails about it. And I read those emails, and I read through them, and I said, you know what? This is a lot more complicated. There are things this guy could have done differently. There's also things John Deere could have done better. But I said, this is none of my business. So I didn't make that video after he sent me all that correspondence. Now, I did make another video about a John Deere tractor that was almost new, and the wheel fell off of it, and John Deere wouldn't cover it. And I took a stance on that publicly because they said you're supposed to be checking your tractor bolts every day, but those bolts are in a place that make it very hard to check because it's behind wheel weights. And the service manual or the owner's manual does not tell you to check them every day. It tells you to check them at 200 hours. He didn't have 200 hours on the machine. He'd had John Deere do the service on it at 50 hours. They're supposed to check them at 50 hours. He's supposed to check them at 200. He was in between there, and the wheel fell off. And Deere declined the warranty. I took issue with that, and I made a video talking about it. Now, I just brought Deere up twice. Am I saying Deere sucks? I am not. I bought a John Deere tractor, a John Deere skid steer, 2 John Deere commercial mowers. I had multiple issues with those machines, and my dealer every time fixed them under warranty in a timely manner, didn't charge me anything. Now, they didn't give me a rental machine or a loaner machine. They didn't cover transport. I was out the cost of transport, but John Deere took really good care of me. They sell tons of machines. These are 2 incidents where specific people are very upset, but I don't have every detail. I took a stance on one of them without knowing all the details. I only heard one guy's story, and that's not fair for me to take a stance on it. Here's another one. Now, this comment, this is something. It's a long, long comment. I'm going to read the first part and the bottom part because this is like a book this guy wrote. Do not buy any Kubota product. I bought a new Kubota LX 4020 tractor to use for a snow removal business in Utah. I had to purchase it from Colorado, on and on and on. And at the beginning, Kubota had a service bulletin for this tractor with this issue before I bought it, even stating the problem. And it was supposed to be fixed at Kubota's expense. They knew the problem existed, but they tried to blame it on me for adding a fuel supplement. They tried to coerce me into buying a new tractor on top of the broken one so I didn't lose my business. They refused to cover cost of repair until I proved their fraud. He goes on and on and on. What am I going to say about that? Well, this guy left that comment on every video I'd ever made about Kubota. He was doing searches for Kubota and posting that over and over and over again. I've heard very few people ever say they didn't get good warranty service from Kubota. So I'm not going to bash Kubota over that. I won't disregard it, but I won't bash them for it. Let me read you one more of these. I had a front axle failure on an LS tractor with under 500 hours on it, and the factory will not warranty it. LS Tractor does not warranty anything, and they shouldn't build tractors and advertise their lift capacity if they can't lift the weight without breaking the front axle. This person right here is not happy with LS. One more story before I get to my point here. I bought a 2019 Dodge Ram 1500 Limited, $67,000 truck. And while it was in the warranty period, the transmission went out on that truck. And I was pretty freaked out about it. Wasn't sure if it was going to be covered. They initially declined my warranty because my tires were an inch bigger. And literally, I just kept going through tires, and I went to the tire shop and I'm like, I don't want a bigger tire. I don't want anything crazy. I just want a tire that will last. And they sold me a tire that was just slightly bigger. And I didn't give it any thought, but I did do that. And they were going to decline my transmission warranty because of the tires. And I fought them, and I got my transmission replaced under warranty. And then I traded that truck in on a Ram 2500. It's an $80,000 truck, and within 20,000 miles, the transmission failed. I was very upset. We're talking about less than a year. I had 2 Ram transmission fail on 2 different trucks. And the day I came home, and I hadn't been doing anything crazy, I pulled in and went to put it in reverse, and it wouldn't back up. I was upset. And I turned this camera on and I said, guys, I'm mad. My second Ram transmission failure, and I threw a fit. And that video got 2 million views, and it did damage to the Ram brand. Not on a grand scale. I didn't throw them into bankruptcy. But I damaged the Ram brand in some way because I was angry about that failure. And I had a right to be upset. You buy an expensive truck, it should not break. That's 2 expensive trucks, they shouldn't be breaking. But without any knowledge of my video, Ram covered that under warranty, fixed the issue. The dealership service was really good on it. They gave me a loaner truck. I was taken care of. And I did like later another video saying, hey, you know, Dodge or Ram took care of me on this issue. But the video got 2 million views saying I was upset with the with Ram. And it got a lot of views because I was mad when I made it and I complained. But it wasn't the right way to handle it. Now, the way I just told that story might sound like I'm saying that my friend shouldn't have made his video. That's not the case. He told me about his tractor problem long time ago, months ago. And I said, you should make a video about it. Not bashing, not hateful, just telling exactly what happened. But I said, first, you know, make sure that you're doing your due diligence. Are you giving TYM an opportunity to fix this? Because there are a lot of dealers around the country and they're independently operated. I could open a dealership tomorrow and be a terrible dealership. And, you know, ideally TYM would weed me out and find out that I was giving bad service, and eventually that word would get around and people would stop buying from me. But as a dealer, I could damage the brand. Just like as a YouTuber, I can help or damage the brand. So I think it's important that if my transmission goes out on my truck, I don't say anything negative about Ram until I give Ram the opportunity to fix my truck. So if I take my truck to the dealership and they don't fix it, that's a good time to make a video bashing that dealership. But if I email Ram and they step in and say, nope, we'll take care of this, that's a dealership problem. Now, Ram's done the right thing and the dealership hasn't. So you want to make sure that you give an opportunity for the company to do the right thing. Because I read through all the comments on that video, and TYM is losing money because of that video. And if they didn't do the right thing, they deserve to. But also, there's a comment in there that said someone else who had a major failure with their tractor got it fixed very quickly. It's a different dealership. And so now it comes down to, how do you find a good dealership? because your level of service may be dependent on that dealership. I got a good John Deere dealership. They took care of me every time. Old so-and-so in the comment section didn't get a good Kubota dealer, or there was extenuating circumstances that he's not talking about. But how do you find a good dealership? I mean, that's the most common thing people say in my videos. In the comments, they say, you don't choose a brand, you choose a dealership. Well, if I've got a dealership just down the road. It's a Mahindra dealership. And they sell chainsaws too. And I do a lot of chainsaw stuff. So I go in there and I buy my fuel mix from them. I have taken chains in there and had them sharpen them. I buy my new chains there. I go to that tractor dealership quite a bit. Now, they could be really friendly with me. They could recognize me, and every time I come in, be like, hey, you know, good to see you. Ask questions. How's the wife? I go in there all the time. They could be super friendly. But how would I know if they're going to take care of me when the machine breaks? If I bought a tractor and it breaks down, how would you know that? It's kind of hard. That's why online reviews are such a powerful thing. I think as a consumer, we should lean in more to leaving reviews for individual businesses about how they handle things. And the reality is that if 100 people buy a tractor and 2 of them, the tractor breaks and 98 of them have no problems, you'll hear from the 2 people, not the 98. Here's what I'm saying about the dealerships. When I was considering buying my John Deere equipment, I went in that dealership and I didn't feel welcome. It felt like they were looking at me like, what are you doing here? And I was just daydreaming about buying a tractor. I desperately wanted to buy a tractor, but I wasn't ready to pull the trigger. And I wanted to go in there and just talk to them, and they acted like I had a third leg. And I felt like that. I felt like, well, these guys are rude to me. They don't want my business. And I've said the same thing about Kubota. When I go to Kubota, I feel like I don't belong there, like they don't want me there. But I bought from that John Deere dealership, and they took care of me every time. So how would I know if they're a good dealership or not? That's a tough question. And there's kind of a weird thing that John Deere will not let somebody, I said earlier I could start a TYM dealership. I couldn't start a John Deere dealership. They wouldn't have me. You can't have one dealership. You have to have a chain of dealerships to be a John Deere dealer. It's a lot harder to become a John Deere dealer. So what do I think about TYM not fixing my friend's tractor? I think it makes them look bad. And I think if you're a brand, you need to have a customer service process in place where someone who is unhappy with their dealership can step over that dealership and go directly to the brand and say, my dealership is not providing adequate service, and TYM should make that point of contact available, and they should resolve these problems if the dealerships are failing the customer. So I don't know if that part took place. I don't know what conversations happened between the customer and corporate. Is corporate available? Are they reachable? Would they step in and solve this? Did the customer give them a chance? Now, I'm also friends with a dealer. And what I found out from talking to him is when there's a problem and you're upset because your machine's broken and the manufacturer doesn't know you and your story, and that story has to get passed from you to the brand, and you have to get that warranty approval, I do think it can matter the way you talk to your dealership. First, always be calm and polite, even though you're upset. And then be constantly in their ear. That's what I would do. Call them up, say, hey, you know, just checking in. This is really a hardship for me. I've got hay that needs baled and I don't have my tractor. What can we do? And if you don't get the response you want, I'd call again and again and again and again and again. And then I'd go up the chain of command. And that's not any fun, but sometimes the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So this is not to say that you should have to do that, because you shouldn't have to do that. It should just, you take the machine in and it gets fixed. But if I want my machine back, I'm gonna push and push and push. So I didn't have an agenda with this video, I'm just talking. And I want to hear what you guys think about what I had to say. So I appreciate you taking time to watch the video. I'll put links on the screen to a couple more of our videos, and I'll see you next time.